Good morning, sir.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. New recording day.
Yeah. So as not to mess up your schedule.
Yes. I've lumped everything on Tuesday, Thursday. I have so many calls today. As you know, that was like the goal, but wow.
Right.
It's really a whole day of this.
What kind of calls you got today? Are they external, internal, both?
I had 2 one-on-ones. I'm talking to a potential employee candidate person. I have my coaching call, and I have this.
All right.
Yeah. It's basically every hour or so with like short breaks in between. And earlier I was just like, oh man, I'm not going to get anything done today. And it's like, yeah, that's right. This is the thing I'm getting done today.
Yeah.
Is these calls.
Right.
But it was like, I have a couple projects I'm working on. I'm like, there's just no good chunk of deep work time available today. But that's the point. This is the trade-off.
Right. And so have your other days this week been pretty like sheltered, I guess, for focus time?
They've been pretty good. I'm actually still in the process of like moving stuff around. So I still had a couple things that fell on other days. So it wasn't like pure focus time. But yes, it's already starting to benefit a little bit. Getting more disciplined about this. My Calendly already does this. Like I just exposed Tuesday, Thursday. I mean, my soon to be Mighty Cal.
Mm-hmm.
But other stuff has crept in. I just like manually scheduled with people. So I'm trying to like push everything over there. We'll see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Tomorrow, I'm taking my first vacation day in a little while.
Hey, nice.
It was weird. I kind of like thought, and I was like, I don't think I've done much time off in a while. Like a year ago, I think we were pretty regularly like going away for the weekend or going away for a week, or I took all of September basically off last year. I mean, maybe it's like it's harder to travel. I canceled a bunch of trips already, and it's like normally I would have been going to the vineyard, and I had a conference speaking thing that got canceled, and a hiking trip that got canceled. So I think it's mostly just that I'm mostly just home, and so I don't have that forcing function of like, oh, like I want to go do this other thing. But I realized like Spencer was like taking next week off, and Joel took this week off mostly, and it was like, I don't think I've taken a lot of vacation recently, and I was like, this is so unlike me.
Right. You need a manager to be prompting you to do that, to allow yourself to take vacation, like that's,
yeah,
because that's right. A lot of times what the role of a good manager is like telling people because that's with highly motivated employees. A lot of times the problem is that you don't take enough vacation, not that you take too much.
Yeah, I just kind of forgot about it. And because I think for me, it's usually motivated by trips, like doing stuff, which worked. But then when I stopped doing stuff, I didn't think like, oh, also for like my mental health and for relaxation, I should also be doing this fairly regularly. So.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying about like the planned travel, because I had a bunch of canceled travel plans now due to COVID. And my thinking on taking vacations or trips right now is like, well, I'm in super heads down mode on trying to get Mighty Cal launched. And like, it doesn't feel like the time where I need to be like taking a step back and taking vacation. Previously, if I had a trip scheduled, 3 months out and like bought plane tickets and did the whole thing, then whether it's a good time or not, the trip is happening, and it just kind of forces you. And now like nothing is that set in stone because the whole world is so uncertain. It's like, it's easy to just keep bumping it or brushing it off and saying like, yeah, I'll just keep working. So
totally. Yep.
Yeah.
And now there are like more people that like want to talk to me about things. Like we have like, there's sort of course more to do, or like more interactions to be had and whatnot. So it feels a little bit less like I could just disappear for a long time, and that's totally fine. It's like, we have some work to do to get to that point, I think.
Right.
But that seems like a reasonable goal, though. I was thinking about that recently of like, what are the things that I'm sort of in the way for that there's no substitute for at the moment? And like, how could we build some processes or people or whatnot to make it so that I could step away without impacting things? Seems valuable.
Yeah. So are you just taking time away in the city, or are you getting out of the city?
I'm probably it's just gonna be a staycation, I think.
Yeah.
I might go visit my parents a little bit. They live outside the city and not too far, but we'll see. I was just thinking I'll just take the day and just chill.
Yeah.
Be nice.
Good for mental health.
Yeah. So while Joel has been gone, I've been covering support with Spencer's help, but it's interesting being like front line. Like I've always read at least like basically all the support tickets as they come in, but it's different when I have to like read it and then be like, okay, what am I going to do about this? So it is interesting how it kind of like makes it clear to me like, okay, this is actually a problem. Like this, I do keep seeing people report this thing, or people are really like, they really want this feature, or like it's definitely a good way of staying in touch with like what's going on for real with the company.
Yeah. Do you feel like Joel has been the primary like advocate for customer needs because he's the one mostly on the front lines?
He definitely does that. He'll bring up things and be like, "Yo, this is a problem. We should fix this." But yeah, it's interesting to see it kind of more viscerally when I'm like, I don't have a good answer for this, and like this is the third time I've been asked this week. This is kind of lame. We should have an answer to this.
Yeah.
Or seeing like all the call feedbacks and like see like where we're falling down and where we're good. It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of fun. Support has that nice. You have a count of tickets. And it goes down as you work, and you know where you are and when you'll be done, and when you're done, you're done, and it's kind of nice.
Yeah, it can be very metrics driven as opposed to like software development where we don't have good metrics. We can't count lines of code. We can't it's fuzzier. Yeah.
There's even like a rating system built into Health Scouts. I answered a thing and like got a great rating from somebody.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, like a little dopamine hit from just like, you did a good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of nice. Mm-hmm. We have a part-time support person starting next month.
Oh, cool.
It looks like, which I think will be good. But also I'm thinking maybe we might want to like reserve it 1 day a week and kind of like alternate covering support.
Yeah.
So it's like everyone in the company does support on Fridays, alternating around the company, just or something like that, to kind of keep that flow of information going.
I've seen other companies do that, some more aggressively than others. And I think there's certainly a healthy balance. Like you don't necessarily want your core product engineers to be constantly like pulled out of their cadence and doing support and stuff. But I think it's also really important. You get that, like you said, that visceral like understanding. Mm-hmm. It's hard to replicate.
Yeah. And when a core product engineer gets the same bug report a few times, they can actually go look into it and be like, all right, let me see if I can just fix this right now.
Yeah.
Which is nice because even I can't do that. Like I don't work on the app itself. So it's like there's a lot of things where I'm just like, assign a Spencer, maybe he'll take a look at this and fix this.
And that was part of our special sauce in our support mix, was having like a support engineer
totally
who he split his time between doing like more technical type support and building features. And that was kind of just his job. And I mean, eventually you can't do that forever. I feel like, especially if you're like, no, I'm primarily an engineer and I will help out on the support stuff. But he did it for a long time and did a really great job on it. And, as a result, I think people got a better support experience than they're always having to be a handoff on like, well, can't answer your question, so now I'm going to assign,
That's cool. Yeah. I like that. We were kicking that idea around the other day about having something very technical in the loop that could get to the level of like, let's go look at the logs. Let me try to diagnose this. Oh, look, I can even submit a patch or at least open like a really good issue about it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, having someone that could even just solve it that's kind of amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
Interesting how many ways there are to build a company.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of decisions to be made. Experiments to try.
That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. So the last thing on my list is a thing I have kind of re-noticed about myself. So there is a Giant Robots episode, which for those that don't know was the podcast that I recorded at Thoughtbot for 5 years or something crazy. And you co-hosted for a while. It was like a year or so. It was an interview show for a while, and then had a co-host for a while. But there was an episode called something like "Productivity Begins with a Haircut."
Efficiency starts with a haircut, I think.
Efficiency, yeah, nice.
I remember that one.
That was Giant Robots, right?
Yeah,
that was us. Yeah, okay.
I think I was on it too. Yeah.
I was talking about the fact that there's certain like personal habits that make me feel like out of control when I'm not doing them. Mm-hmm. And so like this example was like when I haven't had a haircut in too long and I keep seeing myself in the mirror, I'm like, oh God, I gotta get a haircut. It like disrupts my work. Like it makes me feel like I don't have my act together. Like my life is kind of crazy and it just like makes me feel like I can't focus on work or like I'm focusing too much on it and it's letting my personal life kind of slip and get out of control. And it messes with me. And I haven't had a haircut in a while, but I have a good excuse this time. So it's not right. this time. But I noticed this was happening actually recently with a lack of groceries. Like I hadn't been grocery shopping in a long time. And so I've been like ordering tons of takeout and just kept having this experience like I'm kind of hungry. Go to the fridge. Damn, there's nothing in here. I really can't even cobble a meal together with what's here. I guess I'll order another thing. And every time that happened, I felt this like vague sense of like, you don't have your life together, man. Like you're spending all this money on takeout. You can't even make a meal. You can't even like feed yourself in the most basic way without like outside help. And it was just like, it was stressing me out to like a surprising degree. And so yesterday, like I left work a little bit early so I could go grocery shopping when there was like nobody there. And it actually felt like it was almost like work related, whereas like I have to do this in order to like be able to focus on work because this is like making me stressed out and distracted. There's like certain habits, certain like basic things that I have to kind of keep under control. Otherwise it feels bad.
For me, it's always like getting dressed. Because like I could easily just, wake up and continue working throughout the day and whatever I'm wearing and not do anything to my hair and like just, but I can't focus if I'm if I'm sitting like that. Like I need to like, all right, I need to get ready. And then there's something just ceremonial about it, I guess, where it's like I feel like I'm a slob if I don't do that. I don't know. Some days, even if I'm like, if I need the extra motivation, I'll put on like a nicer shirt and I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna actually do it nice today.
Totally. Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
I had a summer internship where like part-time I was writing code and part-time I was like basically doing sales, like trying to like sell programmer consulting. It was a weird job. When I was just writing code, I would like dress really casually, but if I was like making calls or like might have to go visit somebody, I would like dress nicer. And someone that I worked with told me that like they said, you act differently when you're dressed more nicely.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's interesting. Like they noticed it.
Remember this thing in school, they used to talk about dressing for success, which always seemed kind of ridiculous, but I think I get it now.
I mean, brains are just like not that clever about certain things.
They're really not.
Like there are weird things that are inputs that you expect to just be outputs, but like you can be like, oh, like if you put on nicer clothes, your brain acts as if things are going better.
Right.
Or like you're more serious or something.
You're wearing a better shirt. You're probably going to sit up a little straighter. Like you're not going to be slumped over. And then it's like, and then better posture just makes you think differently too, I think. Like, it's crazy.
We're such weird creatures.
I know.
Clearly running a weird old operating system needs an update.
Exactly. Yep. A lot of bugs.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's what's going on in my world.
Yeah. Cool.
What's up in the land of Mighty Cal?
So over the weekend, I think I talked about this last time. Over the weekend, I spent a bunch of time working on the Zoom integration. Basically got it completed. I do have to submit for like approval. They phrase it as like approval to enter their app marketplace or something, and which will be a good like, potentially a good marketing thing. But also that's required to allow anyone else to OAuth through the OAuth application. So I can't let other people connect their Zoom accounts until I get like approved for the app marketplace, I think is essentially how it works. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
you're in the queue?
Yeah, I just need to get my application filed. But yeah, otherwise it's basically ready to go. So I feel good about that. Didn't take too much time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Code's complete.
Yeah. Yep. I would say so.
Did you write tests for that?
I did write some tests. Yes.
I remember OAuth being really tricky to write tests for.
So actually I cheated a little bit because I picked. So I'm using some OAuth libraries. I'm using the old like trust the testing in the library and don't test the library functionality hack. Yeah. And also sort of picked like a boundary where it's like, all right, this is a boundary close to the metal that I'm building my interface on top of, and I'll test the interactions with that interface and then trust that everything below that is working according to the README. So
sounds sensible.
Yeah.
I remember working on an OAuth integration one time with Joe Ferris, who is like total coding badass, and we were pairing on it, and he was like, let's write some tests for this. And I was like, how? And he like spins up a local server to function as the other end of the OAuth endpoint, and like just like basically from memory wrote up this like faked out OAuth server for the other side to hit from our client side. And it was just like, wow, like I'm impressed that we did this, but Jesus, I'm barely following this back and forth OAuth handshake that you're like stubbing out and faking. It was impressive.
Yeah, I've done that a few times, but it's taken like I remember doing this. I think it was Level maybe, or one of the apps in the past. I didn't feel like I had total confidence around it, and I was like, I really should have a test here, but I can't bang this out quickly. And then it was like one Friday afternoon, I was like, all right, I'm kind of burned out on this other stuff. Maybe I'll just take like a couple hours and build this like OAuth test. And I like got it working, but it took way too long. So yeah.
It sounds like a pragmatic thing of trusting the library is probably the way to go here.
Yeah. Yep.
Surely the library should have some sort of fake server spun up and doing all this stuff to.
Yep. And I took a
peek.
Took a peek in their tests, and they seem to be doing enough for me to feel confident. So that was good. And then I decided, it was yesterday, I messaged my friend Matt Wensing, our mutual friend. I was like, hey, you want to get onboarded today? And I partially wanted him to like test out the Zoom stuff because I didn't know if you could like allow an external Zoom account. And then I was like, I can demo the product to you and we'll get you on board. That was enlightening because so first of all, I sent him.
First person you've tried to onboard?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
And first of all, I sent him a MightyCal link to find a time, and the link crashed when he tried to use it the first time.
Of course.
Luckily, there was like a honey badger error that bubbled up from somewhere, so I started trying to decipher that. Super frustrating. Now I'm like kicking myself for like too aggressively rolling up errors and losing some of the context. So like an error happened in a Google API interaction somewhere. By the time it got reported, it was just like a missing a handler on an edge case, and the edge case was just like error, create event failed. And I was like, damn it, why did you not log that or something? But the weird thing is it did partially work. So it created the event. The event got created in Google Calendar, and yet my code believes that an error occurred. So I think that Google basically returned, even though their docs say it should be a 200 response, I think they returned some other 200 level response that I was not aware of, which feels arbitrary and strange and unsettling. But
there's some other 200 type code that means success, but also something else.
Right. Like
maybe
it was
you're looking for 200 explicitly.
I was looking for an exact 200. Maybe it was a 204 created this one time, although most of the times it is just a flat out 200. So I've gone through now and like expanded the level of 200 statuses that I accept and like added a bunch of logging. Like I'm going to log every time one of these comes through so I can just audit it. So made the whole thing much more robust. But also like I'm doing some more work on kind of this is the critical path. Like when someone clicks the schedule button, we ideally don't want to crash if at all possible. So
yeah.
So
I agreed.
Yeah. So thinking
advanced business strategy for you.
Exactly. Yeah. Thinking through like how much of this do I make asynchronous? Because for example, with very common case, you have a Google Calendar connected and a Zoom account connected. And when someone clicks that button, you need to call out to Zoom, create the meeting, and then populate like a description for the event that includes the instructions on how to join the Zoom meeting and make sure that ends up in the calendar events description and in the location field and all that kind of stuff. So there's like, multiple services at play. And if either one of those fails, if my code's not buggy, then there's a chance that there was just, something random happened across the wire. So there's probably shouldn't force the user to resubmit. Like I should probably just take that input in and then do some retries. But then what happens if, okay, after 5 attempts, like, yep, your Zoom account, we can't connect to it. Well, now what do? Do we let the event still get scheduled, but tell the account holder like, hey, problem with your Zoom account, you have an event that doesn't have a Zoom meeting attached to it yet. So there's a lot of kind of edge case handling to think about.
Totally. Yeah, handling the non-happy path is where a lot of the craziness comes in.
That's the worst part of programming, I think.
It's tough. Yeah. I feel like Ruby kind of encourages you to just like, it's fine. Just keep going.
Right.
It'll return nil maybe, and then it'll blow up and who knows. But
yeah.
I feel like app development for me has always like inevitably been like code for the happy path, and then you start to find the ways it blows up in production, and like you start adding the error handling and the retrying and the stuff. And
well, that's the thing, because it's like the happy path generally has like 1, maybe 2 or 3 different routes. Like Google's going to return a 200 or it's going to return a 204 or whatever. There's a finite set of ways it can go right, but there's pretty much an infinite number of ways it could go wrong. Like there could be a connection timeout. There could be a random 500 error. There could be that, someone could have deauthorized MightyCal in the external account. So now the token refreshing doesn't work. And like, there's retry logic, but then in that scenario, retries will never help the situation because they've deauthorized it. And that's the thing, like providers generally don't document the failure cases that well. They
Sure,
they
yeah.
tell you like this is the success case, and then like you have to go hunting for like maybe they'll have like a one pager in their docs about errors, but I found it usually doesn't actually align with what happens in reality.
This is one nice thing about really good type systems like Elms, for example, where like if this function sometimes returns the token, but then sometimes doesn't, you have to encode that in the type. And then your code has to handle what's going to happen if it, for whatever reason, doesn't return the token.
Yep, exactly.
It's kind of nice. It like pushes that complexity at you. It's like, you can't pretend this is always going to work. So tell me what you're going to do if it doesn't work. And it makes you think about that up front. I think that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, I became very spoiled by that. And Elixir has kind of not a full-blown type system, but it has the ability to basically declare type specs. So you can say like this function should return these things. Then you can run this static analysis thing called dialyzer that will go through and like, if you've said like this function can return these possible return types, and then somewhere else you've put like a case statement that has something not included in that list, then it'll like raise a red flag for you. So it's kind of there, but like what I want it to be even stricter. I want it to tell me like, hey, you have a case statement over here and you're consuming the response of this function, but you haven't handled every branch. Like, and that's what Elm won't compile unless you handle every single branch. And that's really what I want. It gets annoying, but it's also like, you can either say like everything else I'm just going to swallow, but you have to be explicit about that.
Right. You have to make a decision there
Yeah.
as opposed to just like bumbling forward and be like, I'm sure it's fine.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That is pretty nice.
So that was like, I'm glad it was Matt that first experienced that, because it's like that would be a major confidence like killer if it's like I tried to book a thing for a demo of this product and then that process crashed. So
Totally. Well, for what it's worth, Tuple crashed all the time when I was doing demos in the early days.
Right.
So like I just had tons of bugs. So like it happens. And we had people still sign up. I would like be trying to show them the product. I'd be like, well, obviously it shouldn't have crashed there, but and they'd be like, I get it. It's you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people are forgiving
Yeah.
if they're the right sort of early adopter people.
Yep. And then he, connected his Google Calendar, and immediately I saw some errors from. That's the other thing that I've ranted about before. Like Google's API will, if something is nil, it just won't be included in their payload. So I think there were some things that had never emerged in my own calendar events that I had connected, or anyone else's calendar so far that I had connected, that were present in Matt's, like these random keys that I had never seen before, and that was like messing with my event parsing logic. So yeah, I basically came away with like 5 different tickets on like things to look at here or there. And so
I mean, that's great, right?
oh, it's fantastic. Yeah. All right. I was like, success. Like either it's completely smooth and you're like ready to go, or I have a bunch of like actionable items. And so yeah, I count that as a success.
I think this is inevitable that you're going to have a bunch of these
Yeah.
hiccups along the way.
Right. I'd rather get them sussed out earlier. Ideally, like if the next 3 calendars I connect all produce crashes, then I'll be that much more confident that once I've addressed those things, like it's getting very robust very quickly,
Nice.
So
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Do you miss Ruby and Rails at all?
Elixir feels Ruby-ish enough for me. Like it's the good parts of Ruby for me. I think, yeah, Phoenix is very Rails inspired also. I get most of the good parts, I think, from this stack.
Okay.
Yeah.
No regrets.
No.
Cool. Making me a little jealous.
Have you played with Elixir at all? I know Thoughtbot became very Elixir focused.
Not really.
That was a little bit
just barely.
after your time.
I'm somewhat familiar with it. I've like read about it. I haven't used it in anger. But I like the sound of it.
Yeah. It's immutability, functions, those are all good things, and areas where Ruby could get particularly hairy with monkey patching things and objects and mutating internal state. So
yeah, just going from OO to FP would be really great. We had this moment of like, what should we build the back end in? And it was like, I just know Rails so well that like we could do some experimentation here, but we're inventing all new stuff on the client, so why don't we keep the back end really simple? And like Joel and Spencer also already knew Rails, so it was kind of like, well, this is a pretty clear choice.
Yeah, I think that was totally the right choice.
Yeah, it's just not as fun, I guess. But I do less and less back end work every month, so oh well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get to play with the spoils anyhow.
Well, you could always just start your hobby project in Elixir.
Yeah, exactly. If I set up a hobby project, it's going to be in some very goofy language. Clojure is actually the thing I really wish I had gotten to like use more widely.
Yeah.
I think it's just like so beautiful and so well designed, and I would just love to use more of it.
Yeah. I was thinking about that this morning, actually, that I've long called like programming one of my primary hobbies. And it used to be I've built some like little iOS games back in the day when like iPads were new, and that was fun. And I've kind of mostly given up the hobby side of programming, which I'm a little bummed about, but it's also like I spend so many hours in front of a screen every day. Like most of my hobbies now involve like doing something active outside, which is probably a good thing. But it would be interesting at some point to kind of get back to the hobby side of programming, because I do have a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah. I miss it too. I kind of miss like getting better at it and like learning more things about it. Like that was one of my favorite things about Thoughtbot, was like getting to learn from better programmers and like talking about the esoterica and like the sort of like nitpicking or like just learning how to level up, and that was really satisfying. My programming skills are like kind of like they've stuck where they were several years ago, and that hasn't been true for a while, so that's a bit of a bummer.
Right.
But you can't learn all the things.
No.
Got to focus a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do have groceries, so there's that.
That's good. You can eat.
You can eat food.
It's a basic
myself.
human needs are good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Covered.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, anything else going on?
I think that's about it. I was remarking that it was a shorter week this week because we switched from a Friday to a Thursday recording, so I have one less day to produce podcast content.
All right. Well, you have to get a lot done tomorrow so that next week's
exactly.
podcast
Yeah, got to make it worth it.
Extra fodder.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, let's wrap it then.
All right.
Notes of the show.
Notes for the show can be found at artofproductpodcast.com.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.